Hello and welcome to Africa Weekly. The year 2022 was an eventful one for the African continent in many fronts. While some witnessed a democratic change in government, others experienced coups. On the economic front, it wasn't so rosy for the continent, but very positive steps were taken to rebound the economy by many countries. This edition of Africa Weekly will review economic and diplomatic engagements of some countries, starting with Nigeria. My name is Justin Bemui. Welcome you to the program. Now we begin with a positive diplomatic news for Nigeria recently in Niger Republic, as President Muhammadu Buhari expressed formal appreciation to his counterpart from Niger Republic, Mohamed Bazoum, for conferring on more Nigerian citizens the country's prestigious National Honors Awards. And this was while receiving the award recipients on a thank you visit on return from Niamey, the country's capital city.
Those honored were Ambassador Babagana Kingibe, Governors Maimala Buni of Yobe State, Abubakar Sani Bello of Niger State, Badaru Abubakar of Jigawa, and Abubakar Atiku Bagudu of Kebbi State. The award recipients, who are full of gratitude to President Muhammadu Buhari for his leadership, attributed the honor done to them to the relationship built with the neighboring countries over the years, as well as the enormous goodwill and respect he enjoys from them.
The President was quite pleased, and he showed appreciation and happiness that all neighboring countries, Benin Republic, Cameroon and Chad, in terms of building relationship with Nigeria. And he showed appreciation in particular to President Bazoum. He appreciated the honor. He felt it was all well justified, and it will build better relationship between the two countries, and urged us to reciprocate by working harder.
Joining us now via Zoom from Lomé, Togo, is the Nigerian ambassador to that country, Ambassador Adeshina Adebowale. Thank you so much, Ambassador, for joining us on the program Africa Weekly.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yes. Oh, thank you.
I wish you the very new year.
I wish you all the best. Thank you so very much. We want you to help us paint a picture of what stood out for you in 2022 in terms of Nigerian engagements in the diplomatic space, generally.
Well, once again, I really appreciate you inviting me onto this program. The truth of the matter is that Nigeria is happening has become a phrase that people tend to use in negative terms. But the truth is that Nigeria is happening for good.
Yes.
Politically or in the international scene. We have a very great brand, we have a very great country. And from my interactions with my colleagues across the globe, the respectability that Nigeria enjoys has increased tremendously. Our president, President Muhammadu Buhari, is a very, very potent brand. And he has a reputation across the globe as a very forthright, very, very truthful, very, very straightforward, and very, very upright person. And he's well respected by his colleagues across the world. In my own country of posting here, that's in Togo, I know that his name rings a very, very positive bell with the government, with the leadership, and with the people of the country. Ditto for many other countries across the globe, across all the continents. Besides, because of our size as the giant of Africa in terms of numbers, in terms of resources, in terms of human resources especially, there is nowhere you go in the world today that you don't hear Nigerians excelling in every area of endeavor. And that has also made it a little easier for those of us who are the president's representatives across the world to be able to market Nigeria and, of course, to say all the good things that is happening in Nigeria. So I keep on telling people all the time, Nigeria is not only happening, Nigeria is happening for good. And throughout 2022, we had a lot of positive achievements In Togo, in London, in Paris, in Moscow, in wherever we have our missions, the records are too impressive. And the deeds are too numerous to mention here. I'll just say our country is happening for good.
Well, let's have a closer and critical look into the African continent in 2022. Would you say Nigeria stamped her authority in the political and economic climate?
If you do recall, there were quite a number of indecent, I use in quote, happenings, especially in the West African sub-region, which is our first area of influence, with a coup d'etat in Mali, in Guinea, in Burkina Faso, and a few other. So it was beginning to have a contagious effect on the West African region. And our president put his foot down and set up committees, sent special envoys, and made sure that commitments were extracted from those who carried out those overthrowing of governments in those areas to commit themselves to some kind of a return to order and civility and democracy in some of those countries. Nigeria has been a champion of that across the African continent. Our voice is very well respected. In fact, the Nigerian voice is the one everybody waits for all across Africa, before anything is done. That's number one. On the economic side, when people complain about some of the bad things or so-called downturn in our economy, this is a global phenomenon. There is no way from the United States of America to USA, to Russia, to Germany, to UK, there is a general global downturn in the economy. And while I admit that things are not easy here in Nigeria and on the African continent, we have been able to manage our own part of the crisis with a certain steadiness, with a hand on the plow that is steady and sure, while people are being appealed to take it in their stride while we transit from another government to the other. I think our government in Nigeria deserves some kind of commendation for the steadiness with which the ship of state has been handled.
Now let's come a little bit closer home. You are a representative of Nigeria in Togo. Now, what were the major achievements of the Nigerian embassy in Togo in 2022? What in particular was the impact? What particular impact did those engagements make on Nigeria-Togo relations?
Well, thank you very much. There are so many things to mention here, but I'll quickly mention two. One is, before I got here, the stigmatization of the African Nigerian was a phenomenal disadvantage to our people. And the population of Nigerians in Togo is about 2.5 million. And that's a lot in a country whose entire population is actually less than 10 million. So Nigerians are here in very, very large numbers. And whenever any crime is committed, as you all know, the easiest identity to every black person in the world is to say, I'm a Nigerian. So we introduced a scheme to make sure that while we are not denying our African brothers their sentimental ties to Nigeria as black men or women or Africans, we want to know who are Nigerian. So we introduced an identity scheme that has made it possible for us to have a very good database of Nigeria, so that the report in the crime records of the Togolese government of Nigerians doing this or doing that has really, really gone drastically down, almost to the point of non-existence, because now we have a very good database with which to track Nigerians who are in Togo. One, the trade relationship between Nigeria and Togo have been largely informal. So we set up what I call the Nigerian Togo Business Council with a view to formalizing our trade so that we can then measure and then we can also plan. And I told my Togolese hosts that this is even more in their own interest, because whatever is produced in Togo here, the market is there in Nigeria, not just for Togo, but for the whole of Africa. And that has also helped in making sure that our trade relation has improved and things are going up very well. Then, in conjunction with Nigerian Export Promotion Council, the first export trade warehouse in the West African, in fact, on the whole of African continent, has been set up in Togo, and that was done this last year. This is the idea that Nigerian manufacturers will have their wares well packaged under a very good scheme by NEPC, who package them very well, and exhibit them in a warehouse in Lome here. So with a view to getting our goods to serve the whole of the West African sub-region. That is going on extremely well. So we have improved our trade with Togo. We are also improving, using Togo as the hub. We are improving our trade relations and trading with other West African countries, especially the Francophone ones. And then more importantly, the idea of Nigeria being the leader of West Africa or Africa is being re-emphasized with the way we have managed our consular activities in Togo here. Remember, Nigeria and Togo actually started the Economic Community of West African States in 1975. And that leadership position between us and Togo, by host, has gone on to a higher pedestal on account of that emotional attachment that we have and the cooperation that we enjoy with Togo.
Well, these are quite impressive impacts indeed. Ambassador, before I let you go, what are your projections for 2023? What should we expect from your office this year?
By the grace of Almighty God, and given the fact that Nigeria is in transition this year, I pray for a very, very successful election, and I hope for a very smooth transition. I sincerely believe that the trade with Togo, and once again, using Togo as the hub for the West African sub-region, is going to multiply in leaps and bounds. Secondly, our people are going to enjoy a lot of economic benefits from the cooperation we are building across the West African corridor. Interestingly, under the President Buhari regime, a lot of other schemes, including road construction, the Lagos-Abuja corridor, and aviation hubs, and things like that, there will be a lot more interactions and cooperation between not only Togo, but other West African countries. So in 2023, I expect a great economic boom across the West African sub-region. One of my favorite phrases, and I've said this on so many programs before, was prosperity on all sides. And that remains my theme for this year too. Prosperity on both sides, that is between Togo and Nigeria, and of course on all sides across the West African sub-region, on account of the trade we're able to improve, on account of the business we're able to do together, on account of political cooperation, so that there's stability in West African sub-region, there will be prosperity. I'm also at the forefront of a scheme which I'm still proposing, which is to say the ECOWAS probably will have to set up another body, to deal with insecurity. I mean, as a focus, while the economic community of West African states also continues as a tool for the economic prosperity of our people. So the terrorism and banditry will go down drastically, and both of them are interrelated. When we're able to beat down the banditry, the economic prosperity will go up. That's my dream for 2023. Well,
a quick one here, just a quick one here. In a few weeks to come, Nigeria will be having its election, the 2023 presidential and all the elections coming. What's your expectations?
My expectations are that we're going to have a very, very, very smooth transition. We're going to have a very, very successful election, rank-off free, very peaceful, and very, very objective, fair, and free. And Nigeria will then re-establish itself as a democracy that is really, really working for its people and for the people of Africa.
Well, thank you so much, Ambassador Adebowale. Thank you so much for your time. And you haven't shared your thoughts on this program, Africa Weekly. I thank you so much for your time with us.
Thank you very much. God bless you, and I wish you the very best of 2023.
Oh,
Nigeria is happy for good. Thank you very much.
Do have a wonderful new year.
You too, my brother.
Thank you so much, yeah. Now, I've been on to the Nigerian ambassador to Togo, Ambassador Adeshina Adebowale. The program is Africa Weekly. Nigeria's Dr. Tunji Asaolu's appointment has been confirmed as Deputy Secretary General, African Affairs and Ambassador to the African Union by the International Society of Diplomats, ISD. Is an A-class international organization founded with a core mandate to promote international diplomacy through friendship, trade and investment, international cooperation, peace and social justice for development and advancement of humanity. A statement by ISD Secretary General, Ambassador Manuel Fernandez in Canada says Dr. Asaolu is expected to develop programs and activities, provide regular updates on its progress, promote international cooperation with other relevant authorities, and provide expert advice on issues related to economy, peace, trade and investment. Now, one of the major decisions of the African Union in 2022 was to have a unity of purpose and voice to adopt and explore genome editing technology in agriculture on the continent to improve livelihood and drive Agenda 2063. Head of the African Union Development Agency NEPAD Center of Excellence in Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Olalekon Akimbo, confirmed these are the end of a continental meeting on genome editing communication and policy dialogue for member states in Nigeria. One component of the Agenda 2063 that is at the heart of the African Union is the issue of achieving zero hunger on the continent. This aspiration suggests not just an Africa well-fed, but also having sufficient enough to export for economic and livelihood improvement. This is hoped to be achieved through science and innovation that will create the expected livelihood in an enhanced and favorable policy environment. The genome editing technology tool in biotechnologies and innovation the continent is now researching on and exploring to apply in crop and food production for food security. Consequently, the African Union Development Agency, AUDA NEPAD, and the National Biotechnology Development Agency, NABDA, facilitated the drafting of a communication strategy document on this emerging technology. Now there is a reference point on the issue of communication about the technology in Nigeria, with key messages identifying the strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, putting into consideration different audiences in relation to the technology.
So speaking the right message to the right constituency, which is referred to as the stakeholder, then by the time you do the validation, you get a bigger stakeholder to say, yeah, my force is there. So that is first take home. It's critical. You have a reference point for communication for this technology in the country.
We look forward to seeing African products using science, technology, and innovation that in the next few years would be out in the public for better livelihoods and development of the African continent.
Nigeria, Burkina Faso, Ghana, Eswatini, Ethiopia, and Zambia are the AU member countries so far involved in the genome editing intervention project that is supported by the Center of Excellence in Science, Technology and Innovation of the AUDA NEPAD. Medical equipment considered to be critical for an improved healthcare delivery system, learning and research have been donated to the Abuja University Teaching Hospital, Gwagwalada, by the Romanian government in a bid to strengthen their relations.
For years, the Romanian government, through its Agency for International Development, ROAID, has provided support to Nigeria in so many ways, and the donation of medical equipment to the Abuja University Teaching Hospital is to further consolidate that relationship. Standard blood pressure machines, standard pulse oximeter, 1,000-bed linen of 6x6 hospital beds, and pillowcases were medical items donated to the teaching hospital.
The Romanian government has been quietly assisting Nigerian governments, certain places where they believe they will make impact. So this is just one of them. This is the first for this hospital, and I believe this won't be the last.
Sphygmomanometer and then a pulse oximeter. This will help us in taking care of our patients.
They are all very critical items. Talking about pulse oximeters, equipment that measure blood pressure, and all we can say is that we will make judicious use of them.
The Romanian consul to Nigeria donated the items on behalf of the government, and it is provided within the mechanism of official development assistance granted by Romania as a donor state with financing from the Romanian budget state and implemented by its embassy in the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
We now take you to Zimbabwe, where the country has banned all lithium exports after the government said it was losing 1.7 billion euros from exporting it as a raw material and not processing it into batteries in country. Lithium is so valuable as a component of electronic batteries, mostly for cars, mobile phones and computers, and that it's known as white gold. Zimbabwe has banned all lithium exports after the government said it was losing 1.7 billion euros from exporting it as a raw material and not processing it into batteries in country. Lithium is so valuable as a component of electronic batteries, mostly for cars, mobile phones and computers, that it's known as white gold. The price has gone up by 1,100% in the past 2 years alone. Zimbabwe has the largest amount of the mineral in Africa and has enough of it to supply a fifth of the world's needs, the government says. Whilst it's on track to become one of the world's largest lithium exporters, the government says it should start its own battery industry rather than allow foreign companies to dominate battery production. If it succeeds, it will mark a tremendous change for Zimbabwe's economy. And that's our package this week. I thank you so much for being a part of it. My name is Justin Bemunyi.